So y'all are not going to believe what happened to me last Halloween. This story is wild from start to finish, and honestly, I'm still processing how everything went down. Grab your popcorn and White Claws, because this is gonna be a ride. I'd been dating this guy Lucas for about a year. We met at South by Southwest when I was working a promo gig for Tito's Vodka. He was charming, kinda looked like a budget Chris Evans, which I was totally into, and seemed to have his life together. He worked at some tech startup in downtown New Austin doing something with coding or whatever. I never fully understood what he did, but he always had these stories about his big projects and how he was gonna make it big soon. Fast forward to last October, and we were planning to attend this massive Halloween party at the Domain. It was supposed to be the event of the season. Tickets were expensive. Everyone who was anyone in Austin was going, and the costume contest had a $5,000 prize. Lucas had been talking about this party for weeks, saying we needed next level costumes to stand out. One day, he comes to me all excited about this professional costume rental place that makes movie-quality superhero outfits. He showed me pictures, and yeah, they looked amazing, but they were crazy expensive. Like $2,000 for a weekend rental, kind of expensive. I had some money saved up from my side hustle doing social media management for local businesses, and against my better judgment, I offered to help him out. He promised he'd pay me back after his bonus came through in November. The night of the party arrives, and I'm getting ready at my apartment. I went as Harley Quinn, did my own costume from Amazon Pieces and thrift store finds, spent maybe $100 total. I was waiting for Lucas to show up so we could go together, but he texts saying he'll meet me there because he's putting final touches on his costume. I get to the party, and it's everything everyone said it would be. The venue was decorated like something out of a movie. There was a DJ flown in from LA, open bar with custom cocktails, the works. I'm mingling, having a good time, when I finally spot Lucas across the room in this incredible Iron Man costume. Like, it had working lights, mechanical pieces, the whole 9 yards. People were crowding around him taking pictures. I was actually super proud at first, thinking, oh, that's my boyfriend. But then I noticed this girl in a Pepper Potts costume, hanging all over him. I mean, thematically it made sense, but the way she was touching his arm and giggling wasn't sitting right with me. I make my way over, and Lucas is clearly already wasted. When he sees me, there's this weird look on his face. Not happiness, more like inconvenience. He introduces me to the group around him, but not as his girlfriend, just as this is Maddie. The Pepper Potts girl, whose name was Amber, gives me this once-over and dismissive smile. Fast forward a couple hours, and the costume contest is about to announce winners. Lucas is completely hammered at this point, slurring his words and being way too loud. The announcer calls up the top 3 costumes, and Lucas is one of them. Everyone's cheering, and I'm thinking, well, at least my $2,000 might win us that prize money. But then it happens. The announcer asks each finalist to share something about their costume. When it's Lucas's turn, he grabs the mic and says, and I swear I'm not making this up, this amazing Iron Man suit cost me $2,000, which I got from my girlfriend's savings. But it's totally worth it to impress my work crush Amber. Pepper. And Tony forever, am I right? The whole place goes quiet, like you could hear ice melting in drinks quiet. Everyone turns to look at me, and I'm standing there feeling like I've been punched in the stomach. Amber looks mortified, at least she had the decency for that, and Lucas is just standing there with this drunk, stupid grin on his face. In that moment, I had 2 choices, cause a scene or act like I had my life together. I chose the second option. I walked straight to the bar, ordered a tequila shot, downed it, and then pulled out my phone. Right there, in front of everyone, I changed all my passwords. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, even the password to my apartment building's door code that Lucas had been using. Then I posted an Instagram story of the drink with the caption, celebrating. My newly single status, Iron Man not included. I walked out with my head high, called an Uber, and went home. During that ride, I texted Lucas that his stuff would be in boxes outside my door tomorrow, and he had until 2 p.m. to get it before I donated everything to Goodwill. The next morning, my phone was blowing up. Apparently, Lucas didn't win the costume. Contest, shocker, ended up throwing up in the venue's fountain and got banned from the place. He was texting me nonstop, alternating between apologizing and accusing me of overreacting. Meanwhile, I was getting DMs from people at the party telling me what a jerk Lucas was and how well I handled it. I spent the day packing up his stuff, which wasn't much considering he'd been basically living at my place rent-free for 6 months. By 1:30 p.m., I'd placed everything in boxes outside my door, changed the locks. My landlord was surprisingly understanding when I explained the situation, and treated myself to a face mask and glass of wine. Lucas showed up right at 2, looking hungover and pathetic. He tried to talk his way back in, saying the whole thing was just a joke, and that Amber meant nothing to him. I watched through my Ring doorbell as he realized that the door code had been changed and he was truly locked out of my life. That was 2 weeks ago, and honestly, best decision I ever made. My apartment feels bigger without his energy taking up space. I've been focusing on my social media business, and I've gotten 3 new clients just from people who heard my story and wanted to support me. Oh, and the cherry on top, I found out through mutual friends that Lucas got fired from his job for showing up late too many times, and Amber wants nothing to do with him now that she knows he's broke and a jerk. Some people have told me I should have confronted him more, directly at the party, but I think silence can be the loudest statement. Besides, living well really is the best revenge. Right parenthesis updated y'all. The amount of support I've gotten from my original post has been absolutely wild. My inbox is overflowing and I've been trying to respond to everyone, but there's been so much happening in Lucas land that I had to come back with an update sooner rather than later. So about a week after I posted, I was at Magnolia Cafe having brunch with my girls. We were in the middle of dissecting my bestie Sarah's Hinge matches when my phone starts blowing up with texts from a number I don't recognize. Turns out Lucas got a new phone because I had blocked him on everything. The texts were something else. At first, it was the usual "I miss you" and "Can we talk" garbage. But then they took a turn. Apparently, Lucas has been couch surfing since our breakup. His new living situation with Amber lasted exactly 3 days before she realized what a mooch he was. According to mutual friends, she caught him trying to use her credit card to order Uber Eats without asking. Girl dodged a bullet there. After getting kicked out by Amber, he stayed with his buddy Derek, but that ended when he drank all of Derek's fancy bourbon collection and didn't replace it. Then he crashed with his brother for a few nights until his sister-in-law put her foot down. Now he was texting me because, and I swear on my collection of Lululemon leggings this is true, he needed $200 for a deposit on a new apartment. The audacity of this man. He stole $2,000 from me, humiliated me in public, and now he's asking for more money? I sent back a single text. New phone? Who dis? And blocked the new number. I thought that would be the end of it, but oh honey, was I wrong. 3 days later, I was leaving my apartment to meet a potential new client at Joe's Coffee on South Congress. As I'm walking to my car, guess who I see sitting on the bench outside my building? Yep, Lucas. And y'all, he was wearing the costume. Not the whole thing, but the top half of the Iron Man suit with regular jeans, looking like the saddest cosplayer at a budget convention. When he saw me, he jumped up and started with the sob. Story about how he's about to be homeless, he's sorry, he made a huge mistake, blah, blah, blah. I just stood there, keys in hand, sunglasses on, channeling my inner Taylor Swift during her Reputation era. Then he drops the bomb. I can't return the costume because it got damaged at the party, so now I owe the rental company an extra $800. Please, Maddie, I have nowhere else to go. That's when I realized this man had literally put himself into debt trying to impress another woman, and now he thought I was going to bail him out? In what universe? I told him, you know what's ironic about that Iron Man suit, Lucas? Tony Stark is a genius who built his own success. You're just a guy in a borrowed costume with no plan. Then I got in my car and drove off, leaving him standing there in his half-suit of shame. The meeting with my potential client went amazingly, by the way. She runs a boutique fitness studio in Austin and wants me to manage all her social media channels. When I mentioned my ex-drama, she laughed and said, "You should turn this into content." That offhand comment lit a spark in my brain that hasn't stopped burning since. I went home and created a TikTok about when your ex shows up in, the superhero costume you paid for, being careful not to show Lucas's face or use his name. Y'all, it went viral overnight, like hundreds of thousands of views viral. The comment section was filled with women sharing similar stories about freeloading exes. This led to me starting a series called Costume Party Catastrophes, where I talk about relationship red flags, financial boundaries, and self-respect, all wrapped up in Halloween-themed content. Perfect timing with spooky season coming to an end, but the lessons are year-round, you know? My follower count exploded, and I started getting inquiries from brands wanting to collaborate. But the best opportunity came from a local event planning company that specializes in themed parties. They saw my content, loved my aesthetic and storytelling, and offered me a position as a creative consultant for their upcoming events. Meanwhile, Lucas's situation continued to spiral. A mutual friend who works at the same tech company told me that Lucas had been on thin ice for months. Apparently, all those times he told me he was working late, he was actually at happy hours networking, or so he thought, by buying rounds for everyone with money he didn't have. His big projects were assignments he was consistently behind on, and that bonus he promised would pay me back? It never existed. The company finally fired him when he showed up to an important client meeting still hungover, wearing a wrinkled shirt, and tried to pitch an idea he straight up stole from a competitor's website. Classic Lucas move. About a week ago, I was grabbing coffee at Starbucks when I overheard someone mention a sad Iron Man panhandling near the Capitol. Curious, I drove by on my lunch break, and sure enough, there was Lucas in the full costume, repairs mysteriously completed, posing for pictures with tourists for tips. He didn't see me, but I snapped a quick pic from my car because honestly, no one would believe this without evidence. That night, I was on the phone with my mom telling her the latest Lucas saga when my doorbell rings. I check my Ring camera, and it's Lucas again, this time without the costume but looking absolutely desperate. Hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, the works. Through the intercom, I asked what he wanted. He said he just needed to talk, that he'd hit rock bottom, that he was sorry for everything. For a split second, I felt a twinge of sympathy. Then he said the magic words. "I know you have that extra bedroom now that your roommate moved out. I could pay you back by helping with your social media business." And just like that, the sympathy vanished. This man wasn't sorry, he was just looking for his next free ride. I didn't even respond, just closed the Ring app and went back to my call with Mom. The next day, I received an email from the costume rental company. Apparently, Lucas had given them my email as a contact when he rented the suit. They were reaching out because his payment method had been declined for the damage fees, and they wanted to know if I could provide an alternative contact for him. I replied explaining the situation, making it clear I was not financially responsible for anything related to Lucas or the costume. The owner wrote back the kindest email. She was horrified by my story and offered me a discount if I ever needed costumes for events. I told her about my new gig with the event planning company, and now we're discussing a potential partnership for their Halloween events next year. So, here I am, 1 month post-Lucas, with a thriving social media business, a new part-time job with the event planning company, a growing following online, and the satisfaction of knowing I dodged a massive Iron Man-shaped bullet. The best part? I've started putting that $200 a month I was spending on subscriptions Lucas was using into a savings account I'm calling my No Deadbeats Fund. By next Halloween, I'll have enough saved for a killer costume of my own, or maybe a weekend trip to Fredericksburg with my girlfriends instead. Life really does have a way of working out when you cut off the people who are dragging you down. And sometimes the trash really does take itself out, even if it's wearing a superhero costume while doing so. Winking face final update, y'all won't believe what happened yesterday. I was at Hebe grabbing groceries when my phone started blowing up with notifications. Friends were tagging me in a Facebook post from our local news station about Austin's Iron Man, who'd become something of a tourist attraction downtown. Yep, Lucas has fully leaned into his new identity. According to the article, he's been making decent money posing for photos. And get this, he's partnered with a local charity that helps people experiencing homelessness. For every photo, he asks for a donation to either himself or the charity. The reporter praised his creativity in overcoming hardship. What the article doesn't mention is how he got into that hardship in the first place. I almost dropped my Topo Chico right there in the cereal aisle. Here's the kicker, though. The event company I'm working with now, we're planning the biggest Halloween bash Austin has seen for next year, and they want me to head up the whole thing. We're talking multiple venues, celebrity guests, the works. The theme? Heroes and villains, unmasked. Yesterday, my boss asked if I knew anyone who could play Iron Man for promotional materials. I laughed so hard Dr. Pepper came out my nose. Sometimes the universe has a twisted sense of humor. Lucas may have that costume, but I've built something real. My business card now reads, Maddie Chen, Event Experience Architect, and I'm dating a guy who builds actual robots for Dell. As for Lucas, I wish him well with his sidewalk superhero gig. I hear it gets real hot in those suits during Texas summers. At least now when he's asking for money, he's being honest about it. Smiling face.